What if I told you the Biden presidency was fake from day one? Not metaphorically fake, literally, signed by a machine. We're continuing our coverage of the Autopen scandal here, and now a White House whistleblower, Gabrielle Cuccia, has just exposed the biggest constitutional crisis in American history. Executive orders, military directives, pardons, all signed by robot, while Biden couldn't even hold a pen. Now, this isn't about an old man's sticky hands. This is about a shadow government running America through an auto pen while a supposed president was mentally gone. Dr. Fauci, Mark Millie, treason pardons signed by machine. Those executive orders that crush our economy, robot signature, every official act, every law, every decision potentially illegitimate. The paper trail proves it. And now the question becomes, who was really running the country? Stay tuned. While they were signing America's future away with robots, most guys think their declining energy comes from age or genetics. Wrong. It's actually something that you are eating. It's been called healthy. This one food devastates testosterone levels, and you're probably having it weekly. It's not junk food or sugar. It's way more unaddicted. Our friends at Sculpt Nation, they've seen clients transform by cutting this one thing out. They're building muscle, burning fat, and feeling energized again. Just like exposing the Autopen lie transformed how we see the presidency, you can head to sculptnation.com to their revealing video, sculptnation.com/NNN. This one change could transform everything. It's linked down below. Okay, this just in, a whistleblower blowing the lid off of Biden's Autopen lies. She worked inside the system. Former White House correspondent Gabrielle Cuccia just exposed the Biden administration's Autopen scam. She personally handled the process and says there's a strict paper trail for every single auto-signed document. Nothing gets printed for signature unless it's clearly marked ready for AP, and staff must log it with the Office of Records Management. It's all on file. It's all traceable. Yet Biden claims he doesn't remember, and others act like there's no way to verify any of it. It's all in the National Archives, and it's on the White House servers, and they know it. It's not ignorance. This is lying in sight, and some people need to be in handcuffs. Stop letting them treat you like you're too stupid to notice. Wall Street apes posting the video of Gabrielle blowing the whistle. Buckle up, folks. Listen.
Perjure themselves. We never print out any presidential document that requires a signature unless it says in writing, ready for AP, AP being Autopen. Then myself or any of my former coworkers would take that document, walk it up to the 5th floor of the executive building, and we would hand it over and stand there, sign a piece of paper with Office of Records Management. There's a whole process that is required to be cataloged. So when you hear someone say, I don't know who told me which way or whatever. Well, even look at the recent New York Times article. Joe Biden said, I was responsible for all of those 1,000 plus pardons. And Jeff Zients, the chief of staff, was also there, and he could vouch for me. All that is in the National Archives. It's on the White House server. So if these people don't want to necessarily perjure themselves, although I think they already have guilt by admission in some cases and omission, there is an easy process in which the National Archives and the White House servers themselves, we never print out any presidential document that requires the signature unless it says in ready for AP, AP being Autopen. Then myself or any of my former coworkers.
So she is now speaking publicly about this. If Trump were dirty, the Democrats would have released the files while they had a corpse with an Autopen in the White House. Weekend at Biden's. Yeah, that's basically the entire administration in one photograph. In one meme, weekend at Biden's. 4 hours ago, MRC News posted this. The leftist media brazenly neglects Biden's Autopen scandal while naming Trump a hypocrite for calling it out. Here is Curtis Houck calling them out on Real America's Voice. Listen.
A report from News laid out that ABC, CBS, and PBS didn't cover the Autopen scandal at all. NBC gave it less than 40 seconds, just to give you an idea. If this doesn't show the bias in media and what the real they are no longer interested at all in talking about what's true or in sticking to traditional sorts of news platforms where you report what's in the news.
Yeah, Dr. Zena, this one is absolutely stunning to take a look at just to see the numbers. NBC also on their website last week tried to push this insanely stupid story with James Comer claiming that he's a hypocrite because he uses like Adobe DocuSign to send out like letters asking people to come in before the House Oversight Committee, as if that's kind of the same thing. President Trump had a really great soundbite on this last week that wasn't pointed out by the mainstream media, which is the Autopen was created, to put the presidential signature on like a letter to like a little boy who wrote to the president, not for major important, things like pardons, signing bills into law, those like really things a president should be involved with. And it was the fact that Biden didn't know what was going on. Even the New York Times, as much as they tried to cover for him, admitted in the story after talking to him that things would change, people that they were going to pardon, new details came to light, and they didn't update the president on this at all. They just went ahead and signed it anyway. So it's not that it exists, it's that it was done without Biden really knowing what his signature was being affixed to.
He had no idea what was going on. None. Here's 27247AG posting with the investigation into the Autopen. This was 5 hours ago. With investigations into the Autopen presidency underway, left-leaning media and politicians are finally confronted with the truth that was right in front of our faces for years. Joe Biden was not running the country, and America was led by unelected, unaccountable Politburo. Unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, the vice president shall immediately assume the powers and duties of the office of the acting president. Yeah, they could have done the 20th. But then they couldn't control Kamala Harris, right? The shadow government needed an incapacitated president so that they could push their agenda through. If Kamala was in charge, they wouldn't be able to do that. She would be able to actually, fulfill the office, the powers of the executive branch, the powers of her office. And the entire administration would change. All those people, Zients on down, would have changed. It would be a complete shift of power in the Oval Office. So if they were to enact the 25th Amendment, lost power of the shadow government to move forward. Here we have this flashback of General Mark Milley said he would give China a heads up if the U.S. was planning to attack and had secret calls with China back behind Trump's back. They call it. New York Times just confirmed his preemptive pardon was approved by a White House assistant and signed by an Autopen. It is void. Charge him.
Let him know.
As Chinese thought wrongly that the United States was going to attack them, I am certain, guaranteed certain, that President Trump had no intent to attack. And it was my task to make sure I communicated that. And the purpose was to de-escalate, calm things down.
You shared all that earlier. I understand. Just say, did you or did you not tell him that if we were going to attack, you would let him know?
As part of that conversation, I said, General Lee, there's not going to be a war, there's not going to be an attack between great powers. And if there was, the tensions there'd be calls going back and forth from all kinds of senior officials. I said, hell, General Lee, I'll probably give you a call, but we're not going to attack you. Trust me, we're not going to attack you. These are two great powers, and I am doing my best to transmit the president's intent, President Trump's intent, to ensure the American people are protected from an incident that could escalate.
I understand your intent, but I think you articulating that you would tell him, you would give him a call, I think is worthy of your resignation. I just think that's against our country, that you would give our number one adversary that information and tell him that.
Chinese.
You wonder why Millie got a pardon? That clip says it all. A manufacturer scandal. Cody Wan, 6 hours ago. It's a manufacturer scandal. The SCOTUS, Supreme Court, has reaffirmed more than once that the Autopen is not unconstitutional to use. It's a weak distraction, they're saying, from Epstein and everything else. But okay, so even if SCOTUS reaffirmed that it's not unconstitutional, but the president didn't know, then it is. So Cody Wan, yeah, dude, whatever. Oh, what's this? Pocahontas with her Autopen. B. Wilkins III. Why don't you shut your trap, Autopen? No one likes you. We don't care about your opinions. You should be in prison. Pocahontas. Oh, we found the Autopen. Yeah, there it is. Barack Obama. Joe Biden clearly incapacitated behind him. Of course, AI imagery at its finest. Here's a question. Does anyone actually believe Biden knew who was using the Autopen? Yeah, the guy couldn't walk upstairs, couldn't ride a bike, couldn't find his way off a stage. Yeah, the guy was in bad shape. Here's what Thomas Hearn had to say. If that was my son, I would take him behind and I would beat him with a stick. I'm serious. Mr. Wonderful goes off on Hunter Biden for vulgar language. Oh, okay. So that was a quote from Mr. Wonderful. Listen.
It's a long.
Very helpful
Think about Joe Biden
former President Biden
as a servant for all those years, a phenomenal public servant. The last 4, a little tough. If that was my son, I'd beat him with a stick. The disrespect that he's giving to his family, the trashing of the Biden brand. I don't know Biden's policies, but I respect him for his long service. He was a phenomenal politician for a long time. The end was bad, but this is, I mean, I'm outraged at him. If that was my son, I would take him behind the barn and I'd beat him with a stick. Okay.
I mean, you can't be surprised, though.
I'm serious.
I mean, what he's referring to is the interview that Hunter Biden gave, where Hunter was just losing his mind. I mean, he was talking about cocaine and all this crazy stuff. I played a couple clips yesterday. Now, we did play the whistleblower clip earlier. I want to see if this is anything different. Let's listen.
Executive building. We never print out any presidential document that requires the signature unless it says in writing, AP being Autopen. Then myself or any of my former coworkers would take that document, walk it up to the 5th floor of the executive building, and we would hand it over and stand there, sign a piece of paper with Office of Records Management. Has the key, they press the button, and they go ahead and execute that Autopen signature. I take it, go to the West Wing, give it to the staff secretary. They will verbalize to me, I can prepare a press release, but we wouldn't do any of that again until it was also in writing by the staff secretary, and then we disseminate to press. So there's a whole process that is required to be cataloged. So when you hear someone say, I don't know who told me which way or whatever. Well, even look at the recent New York Times article. Joe Biden said, I was responsible for all of those 1,000 plus pardons. And Jeff Zients, the chief of staff, was also there, and he can vouch for me. Jeff Zients was working at the same time that Neera Tanden and Stephanie Feldman were. So for Neera Tanden, I'm sure Stephanie's coming on in next for questioning to say who told me. All that is in the National Archives. It's on the White House server. So if these people don't want to necessarily perjure themselves, although I think they already have guilt by admission in some cases and omission, there is an easy process in which the National Archives and the White House servers themselves, I worked in White House IT as well before that position, it's all in there. We never.
Now I want to point out, she commented on this video. You see what it says at the bottom of the screen there? For the record, I live a happy life. Everybody. Clearly a coded message. You can read between the lines. So we have this too. 9 hours ago. We've played this clip before, I believe. Real Robert posted this 9 hours ago. And this, one of the greatest criminal conspiracies ever perpetrated against the American people. They began using the Autopen on day 5 of Biden's installation in the White House. By June 2021, its use had skyrocketed. In other words, the vegetable so incapacitated they had to automate the presidency while pretending everything was normal. This wasn't just political theater. It was a coordinated deception, a criminal conspiracy carried out by unelected handlers in the government, Congress, and the intelligence community.
In Biden's tenure, when the president signs...
Mr. Theodore Wald testifying before Congress.
When the president signs, he communicates his assent and endorsement of the action he takes. The Autopen is a device that signs the president's signature to a document. The oversight project, of which I am a board member, has discovered that the Biden White House deployed an Autopen to affix President Biden's signature to pardons, prison commutations, executive orders, and presidential proclamations. The Oversight Project's research has found that the Biden White House first deployed Autopen to affix President Biden's signature to a proclamation on day 5 of his administration, and that there were at least 3 different Autopen signatures in use throughout President Biden's tenure in the White House. In June 2022, the Biden White House began deploying the Autopen to sign clemency warrants and executive orders. Autopen use skyrocketed from there. We found that of the 51 clemency warrants issued during the Biden presidency, over half, 32 in total, signed with an Autopen. And these include some of the most controversial acts of clemency of the Biden presidency, including death row commutations and the preemptive pardons of members of the Biden family, Dr. Anthony Fauci, General Mark Millie, and more that were issued in the final days of the Biden presidency. We reviewed President Biden's schedule in his publicly available media and were unable to find any record of President Biden's personally approving these actions, such as a statement issued by the president himself. Supporters. When the president signs.
And now we have a whistleblower coming forward, revealing the chain of custody and how these Autopen signatures are put to paper. You got the New York Times, you got a whistleblower. You got all the people in Biden's inner circle pleading the fifth. The story's not going away, folks. Neither are we. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. This Autopen is everything we thought we knew about the Biden years. We weren't just dealing with a confused president. We had a complete shadow government operating using a rubber stamp to run America. Every military decision, every pardon, every executive order that destroyed our economy and opened our borders, all potentially invalid. Mark Millie, admitting to treason, got pardoned by a robot. Now that pardon's worthless. This isn't just fraud, it's coup by paperwork. Somebody was making decisions while Biden was eating ice cream, and we deserve to know who. The constitutional implications are staggering. Every law, every appointment, every internal agreement, all now in question. And if our republic dies, it won't be from bullets. It'll be from bureaucrats with rubber stamps. So here's the question. Should every Autopen signed Biden decision be automatically reversed? And what would happen to our republic if they were? Drop your response in the comments below. Let's continue this conversation. And while you're at it, you can show your patriotism and you can help us continue to expose the Autopen conspiracy with our President Autopen shirt. Have you seen it? I think you'll like it. It's hilarious. Nice, subtle way to bring this into the conversation when you wear it. Also, we've got our Alligator Alcatraz shirt right here. We got our MAG Avengers shirt, Next News hats. We got mugs. We've got our American Badass series. Find something you like and support our network at the same while triggering a liberal at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com.